Hello, good evening, welcome. I am so sorry. Let me first of all apologize. We had some technical difficulties logging in this evening, but I believe it's all sorted out, so we should be fine moving forward. So let's hope that we can go through this. I want to just say welcome to every single one of you who are joining us at this time, and those of you who've been waiting. My apologies again. I did get quite a few messages from folks wondering what's going on. So we're on, and we are getting ready to make a start. So I just want to acknowledge everyone that's tuned in through our various social media platforms. Those of you on Facebook, YouTube, those of you on LinkedIn and X. Good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining us. This is the Jael Joseph Live Show. I'm yours truly, Jael Joseph. And we try to bring you as much information and content as possible as it relates to multiple different things, whether it's talking about people's lives, empowering others, or information that I think is pertinent for the public to know. So tonight, or this evening, we have the DPP, so the Director of Public Prosecution, that's Sherma Dalrymple. She is the DPP for Dominica, and she's going to be joining us here this evening. I happen to see, her speak at various gatherings, or various events or various shows as it relates to the most recent amendment to, I believe, the act. I just want to get my things corrected. So it is sections 14 and 16 of the SOA, that is sexual activity between consenting partners of the same sex. So she's going to share with us a little bit. I've seen so many different comments on social media. I've heard so many different things people have had to say, and it just feels like a lot of people are not properly informed, or are not aware. Like some people feel um, like the amendment means open seasons for all horrific sexual acts, which I find is wild that people would get that out of it. But I'm just doing this based off of the information that I've seen, the information that I've gathered, and it just seems like a lot of us are misinformed. A lot of us are coming to um, our own conclusions. A lot of us are ignorant, for lack of a better word. And I really wanted Ms. Dalrymple to come and provide some clarity. So I want to encourage you guys to tag your friends, tag a loved one, tag a Dominican, and let's discuss this new amendment, to this new amendment to the Sexual Act here in Dominica. So I want to welcome Sherma on the show. So, Sherma, you there? Hello, Sherma. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. All right, I see her there. I'm not sure what happened. Trying to get her to reconnect. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, this has been happening for the last half an hour. So let's hope that we can get her back on. So just give me a moment and let's get this sorted. right, guys, we're trying this again. In the meantime, share, tag your friends, tag your loved ones. We're gonna get this sorted out, and hopefully we can get her on the call here this evening. We live in a time of technology and things. What to do now? What to do? I mean, that's just how it is, and we're hoping for the best that we're able to connect and we're able to actually have this this show here this evening. So here she is. There we go. Sherma, you hear me? You hear me?
Mm,
Are you hearing me okay? Let me know if you're hearing me. Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing you.
Okay, because I hear you. I'm hearing you. Yeah, I think she's gonna try and reconnect again. Good evening, Rima. Good evening, guys. Thank you for joining. This is what happens sometimes, right? This is what happens. We don't expect these things. We don't anticipate these things. It happens, and sometimes we just have to reschedule and life continues, right? Um, this is an age that we live in where technology is not always in our favor and it's not always work out. You hear me now? Can you hear me?
Mm.
We're having issues, guys. We're having issues. Um, roller rosary for us. We're having issues. And that happens. Good evening. I'm really hoping that we could get into this conversation because I've honestly gotten tired of seeing all of the misinformation that is floating around, and all of the ignorance that is going on. And I just really wanted to bring some clarity and figured that this would be a great opportunity to have the DPP join us. Obviously, she's been part of this case. She knows it inside out, and she'll be able to explain to us what was there before, how the trial proceeded, and what is the new amendment and how it applies to you. Um, what are the who's it going to benefit? What are the limitations? Just really give us some clarity. I mean, oftentimes, like I find sometimes as Dominicans, like we're so I look at us as such intelligent people, but we can be so ignorant. And let me tell you, the kinds of things that I've seen out there, I'm like, it makes me shake my head. Oftentimes, I just shake my head and I'm just like, let me just pass it straight and not say anything. But I think it's important that we inform ourselves and we inform ourselves properly, so that we can make informed decisions. When you have information, you can make informed decisions, and that was the hope here this evening. If it's not working out, we move on. And I mean, we tried connecting on her computer, we tried connecting on her phone, and now we were hearing each other earlier. Now we're not hearing each other. So, Minano, Minano, I'm going to see if I can connect with her one last time. And if it doesn't happen, I say I didn't try. I say I didn't try. Right? So
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Um, yeah.
Hey, we on. Don't move the phone. Don't touch it. Don't even breathe.
I really don't know what's working against us, Jael, tonight.
It's all
I
right. It's all right. It's okay. That happens. I don't blame it on anything else but technology, and it's not always in our favor. And that's just how it is. I mean, we're not gonna beat ourselves about it, right? What I
no.
know is you've had a really long day. You know,
Yeah.
you came straight from a meeting to another meeting, and I saw you. I know it's lawyers week. I believe it is this week.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your week of celebrations. But I see you guys have been doing a lot of gatherings in terms of informing the public. So last
Yes.
night you guys were at UE, and I actually tuned in, and I thought the discussion was very, very, very interesting. And even like listening to the discussion, I could tell that we are still not informed about so many things, and there's still things within our laws that are somewhat stone age, for lack of a better term, and we need to put it up to date. And and that comes to this exact discussion that we're going to be having here this evening, right? 'Cause last night I know you guys were the discussion was along the lines of Facebook. If I
I saw it on Facebook. Is it admissible? Can I use it in court?
Right. And that was such an interesting conversation. And I wish oftentimes I wish there's more publicity of these kinds of discussions, because I was looking online because I'm a hermit. I oftentimes avoid going out as much as I can because I'm always doing multiple things. And if I can be listening and then doing something else, for me, I'm being most productive. But the
Yes.
conversation was so because you guys had you had the magistrate
Yeah,
Kandia.
the chief magistrate, we had defense counsel Gina Dyer, and I represented prosecution.
Yes.
It was a we had it
A
from
room
all around.
of lawyers too. So
Yes.
y'all were, it was almost like people like y'all were arguing a case, everybody was putting in their input. And I really felt that the conversation was very very interesting, very informative. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I know, you had outsiders as well. So there were people from outside. I believe it was
Members of the public came and they asked questions, they
a
interacted with
full
me.
room. It was a full
It was a
room.
full room.
It was a full
And it
room.
was Wednesday night, it was in the middle of the week.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really good turnout, and I want to commend whoever put this together. I didn't get
It's
this.
the Bar Association doing the activities. We had Pro Bono Day over the weekend on
Okay.
Saturday where we gave back to the community. Lawyers gave free advice.
Wow.
Yes, on that day, Saturday, we had a beach lime on Sunday. Unfortunately, I could not attend because we both were elsewhere.
Yes, you were.
We have a dinner tomorrow evening. So it has been a week of activities. We also had a debate with the schools. A young lady from grammar school won.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That is really, really good, and I want to commend you guys for putting this together. And I wish you had more. There was more to give. I do follow quite a bit of shows along the lines of, I know there's another show.
The Ministry of National Security also has a show. That's where you heard me speak on the issue of the burglary law and the decriminalization of burglary. Yes,
Yes,
so my ministry, and we frequently have press conferences where we explain to the public certain pressing issues and certain laws.
yes. So
So
and that's why you're here this evening. So I just want to say, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. You've had a
it's my
busy.
pleasure. It's my pleasure. The public has to know what's going on. The public has expressed serious interest into that particular debate concerning that recent ruling. So the public has to be educated on what exactly went on. I mean, most times the legal jargon, the public won't understand it. So I will try to explain as simple as I can.
We're keeping it simple and stupid as
Yes,
possible
yeah,
this
yeah,
evening, because I always tell people on my platform, I try not to use any big words, because I'm not that I don't know big words. Like, I'll probably use the word wonderful like 1,000 times
yeah.
to describe something.
I'm going to keep it very simple. Actually, last week Friday, I saw something circulating on social media, and I'm saying that is so relevant to what is happening. So in a while, you'll find out.
Yes, yes. So I'm happy that you could come on, and I want to encourage folks. You don't have an excuse. Share the live. Make sure you share the live. The folks from all over are tuned in. Ria, Antonio, Glenda, Jessica St. Rose from St. Lucia. We have Lucians on. We have Dominicans on, and I'm sure more folks will come on because people were messaging me like right at 7 o'clock. And again, apologies for the late start.
Our
It was
technical
not because
difficulties, but
we have
we're here and we're ready to go.
ready to go, ready to
Yeah.
go. So I want to start off because I was actually just to kind of bring what we're going to be talking forward. I read an article recently. Well, not recently, when the amendment actually happened on Dominica News Online, and I just want to quote their article because I believe they were one of the first people to actually publish the story in terms of what was developing. And according to the article, they said that a case was first brought before the court in 2022 by a gay man who sought to have two sections of the Sexual Offences Act that criminalized consensual same-sex activities ruled unconstitutional. The case to end the criminalization of the LGBTQ people in Dominica was supported by a Miriam and the HIV Legal Network working alongside the claim. And it goes further to discuss the sections. So, under Section 14 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, sexual activity between consenting partners of the same sex was, if before the ruling, prohibited. And that offense actually, or that act was first enacted in 1873. That's a long time ago. Uh, and that was when Dominica was under the British rule.
Absolutely. We had our first Sexual Offences Act in that year, but thereafter we had the 1998 Sexual Offences Act.
Mhm.
And in 2016, Parliament met and legislated out and added more strict penalties
I,
and more offences. We in Dominica, we have the most robust. When I say robust, we have the most
mm. Guys, can you hear her? Because I think we might have lost her. Can you guys hear her? We might have lost her. Can you guys hear me? Listen, this is not happening. Okay? This is not happening. It's not happening. We lost her. I tell you. Things things are just not working out tonight. It's not working out. It's not working out. It don't want us to explain. It's not working out. Guys, can you still hear me? Just let me know if you can still hear me. Um, if you can hear me or you can hear her. Some people are saying no, yes, I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. No, we can't hear her. She actually has dropped off the call, so she's no longer there. And we're hoping that she will jump back on and we're able to continue this conversation. Um, I hope that it does not have to do with her phone. And c'est la vie. C'est la vie. So we were actually just discussing, when she dropped off, she was talking about the various amendments that have been done to the Sexual Offences Act. And she's back. Shema, I don't know.
Hi, I'm back. I'm back. I thought it was you who dropped. I don't know because I was hearing you, seeing you, everything. So I guess it's me.
Okay.
Yes, I was saying that an individual brought a constitutional claim that is he challenged certain sections under the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. This is the law that all laws are to be in compliance with. We have to confine our laws to that particular law. We say it's the supreme. It's the law that is in charge of everything,
Yes.
basic.
Okay.
Now, Section 16, that's the section that deals with burglary. We had a section which said that burglary beside between male, female,
I
and
don't
male
know. I don't
is
know why
illegal.
that is a word though. Why?
Illegal.
It just.
So, so our 2016 Sexual Offences Act deemed that burglary basically is illegal. Any between a man and a woman, between a man and a man, illegal. So it was challenged on various constitutional challenges, one of them being freedom of expression.
Mhm,
And the court ruled that burglary is allowed, but between consenting adults
mhm,
and within the privacy of whatever setting they are, within the privacy of their home, privately. So I said earlier, Jael, that last week Friday, I saw Rio had this song, this video, and everyone was posting it. Okay,
mhm,
lovers' business, stay out of it.
mhm.
Basically, that is what the law is telling us. The ruling, taken at its simplest, that people can do what they want at their home within their privacy. Once they're consenting, that's not our business.
And that is exactly what I got out of it. And when we were
Right?
having the discussion, because after I saw you appear on DBS Radio, it was with Honorable Rayburn
Yes, with my
Black,
minister.
as well. You were with Athlene Nesty, and there was some other person there. I wasn't sure.
Miss Sobers, she's the acting solicitor general. She's attached to the Attorney General's chambers.
Right. So I had a show that night, but I tend to like whenever I have a show, I tend to always check out, what else is going on. And that's when I jumped on. And I kind of jumped on late, like it was towards the end of it. But I waited until everything was done and then I went back and it played in the back so that I could listen. Because essentially what I got out of it, and I was saying to myself, but what I get out of it and what other Dominicans get out of it might be two completely different things. Because I got out of it that if you were not involved or partaking in burglary, enough for you. Whatever the amendment was does not apply to you whatsoever, right? It applies to people because without tripping you, men and women partake in burglary, right? So if then a woman came to court before this was amended and said or took a man to court for that act against on her, she had a case, right? She had a case if it even if it
One,
was consensual, right?
even if it was consensual,
Even
she
if it
had a
was
case. But
consensual,
right now, the only
right?
case she has, they did it in private, but she did not consent. So
Right.
it's not, yes.
and,
So
and,
that
and I
put it
and
simple.
I want us to talk about consent, but towards the end, I want us to thaw out all of the kinks or all of the icicles that people have. So how does this recent decriminalization of homosexual sex in Dominica impact your role and your responsibilities as the DPP? How does that impact you?
Um, as I spoke earlier at a program regarding that, it has not changed the context that I operate within,
Mhm.
because I would be unable to bring a matter before the court without a victim. So even where we were told, so you may suspect that two men are in a homosexual relationship and they engage in acts of burglary, one of them would have to come and say, this was done to me and I did not consent. You must have a victim. So where people were consenting, it was basically the police would not be rushing into somebody's house to see what they're doing in their bedroom. It's basically you staying out of lovers' business. Okay, right now it is legal.
Huh?
But prior to that, we were staying out of what people were doing in the privacy of their homes was is not a police business. It was illegal, yes, but we can only bring a matter before the court if we have a complainant. So two people
Exactly.
engaging in that act. The
Exactly.
only way there would be a complainant is if it was not consensual.
Now, can you explain the legal implications of this amendment for individuals who identify as LGBTQ plus in Dominica? So are there any legal implications or anything? Because I remember you speaking and you were saying, like you were trying to explain what or where it is not. permitted. So I remember you were saying, if you're in a public space, and I'm like thinking to myself, the fact that you're explaining that, I'm like, I've never seen anybody have sex publicly. Like, I mean, you could have assumed that they might be. You probably go by Freshwater Lake and you see, a car looking all
We
steamy,
can make the inferences.
right? But I've never seen it happen. So to me, it's kind of still wild that people are just like thinking, okay, well, it has to be private, because I've always felt that even though we might say we're a religious nation, and we'll get to that too, because our religion and culture, in Dominica, um but I've never seen anybody engage. I rarely see people doing PDA kissing. Like, I've rarely seen that,
We
like.
in a society, I mean, the headlines had it, buggery laws banned. The headlines had it in a particular way. But we are in a very conservative society. Dominica is conservative when we compare Dominica to the other islands in the region.
Mhm.
And we have, as you rightly said, we do not see these acts publicly in Dominica. We do not see those things. And the thing is that even though in the near future, or whenever it happens, we still have the law of gross indecency. Gross indecency speaks to indecent acts in public between individuals. And when we see it, we have someone who has seen, we have a witness to it, the matter can be brought before the court. Section 14, which deals with gross indecency, was also challenged. And the court ruled that consenting adults can engage in whatever act they want in their private settings. Once you're consenting, you can engage in your acts of indecency. Again, I say people are in their private homes doing whatever their sexual orientation is, and we stay out of their business.
Yeah, I heard people talking about children in the home, and I'm like, and honest to God, it was still blowing my mind that people were even talking, because I'm like, do you have sex in front of your children? No. Do you
That's an act of
expect?
gross
And
indecency.
the assumption is that people who are practicing homosexuals, that is what they do, and again, it is wild to think that people are unable to differentiate between homosexuality, pedophilia, because statistics have proven that heterosexual people are the biggest, what is the word, culprits of pedophilia. Like, I'm like, you need to go and tell the uncle that always coming by your home to not to pass back, the stepfather that you
Yes,
condone,
true.
the uncle, these
And
people.
this is exactly the sentiments that were expressed today at press briefing that my ministry had by my honorable minister. That we've never had an issue with buggery in Dominica. It's not to say that we were saying that we have a lot of buggery cases and certain acts are being done in the public. They're grossly indecent. We have the matters that I have before the court: incest, unlawful sexual intercourse, grooming of minors, where you have a child at a very young age being groomed into being sexually harassed, sexually molested, and groomed to do certain sexual acts. And we as a society, we need to consider these things because I mean there was a whole, I would say, uproar, but agree. Everybody were, oh, for the past, everybody's talking about that, but rarely has the law changed our social context that we operate within? Does the law prevent us from still holding strong to our religious
And
beliefs?
that is what I was
That
going to ask you. Like, how do you anticipate that amendment affects the relationship between the government and religious institutions? Particularly because in this case, there were religious institutions who spoke as well. Like, it wasn't just you and the plaintiff. There
no,
were.
there were interested parties: the Bishop of Roseau, the Methodist Church, the Anglican Church. But firstly, it is not, and that's another misconception. It's not something between the government and the church. The state represented in the case, the state opposed various applications made. There were other sections of the Constitution that were challenged. The
For
rights,
example.
It was challenged whether the laws were discriminatory. That was thrown out.
Okay.
So the state did represent the case. I mean, people have the concept that the state did not do anything, that the government decided to legalize burglary. It's not that.
And that is a lot of what people are
Mm,
saying. They're
no,
like
it's
you
not
will
that.
you see posts, people are posting, oh, it's the government, they're doing this and they do not. I'm like, I find it wild that people come to that conclusion. Like it's not you're not looking at the fact that a gay man was the one that brought this up, and
And the
also,
government challenged it.
and the
And the
government,
government
right?
opposed heavily. The government sought outside counsel
Mm-hmm,
to assist with the matter. And outside counsel was very experienced in this type of matters.
mm-hmm,
Mr. David Dorset.
mm-hmm,
And also we have how would I put it? We have singled out that particular issue as if it's Dominica that just went ahead and decided to ban burglary laws, which is wrong. The law was the law of burglary between consenting adults was decriminalized.
mm-hmm.
This is the stand that was being taken regionally. I mean, there are so many countries that have taken that stance in their
Why do
law.
you think? Why do you think that is the case? Because I know. Okay, we could probably say it's your human right. Like,
Right.
as somebody who's lived in Canada, I believe it's your human right. It's your right to choose to love whomever you choose to love and partake however you choose to partake with consensual. Once it's consenting and once you're an adult. So once you're not doing something with a minor, and the person is an adult, that is, I feel like it's your right to love whomever you choose. So did that have a role to play, or what role, I should say, did human rights have to play in this amendment coming to
Actually, this was a consideration, the public interest and what orientation the public is moving towards.
Mhm,
We've had that. There have been several decided cases in the U.S. on this issue. In Europe, Barbados, Belize, Antigua, Trinidad, Saint Kitts and Nevis, prior to Dominica.
mhm,
So it's not something where Dominica spearheaded this whole change of the law. No, it's in law we deal with precedent. What happens before we are to consider and follow, unless there is good reason not to follow.
mhm,
And the stance that has been taken internationally and regionally is that individuals have rights. These groups, LGBT groups, they have their rights. They have their right to freedom of expression. And the court considered that in the realm of the Constitution and said that in respect of the Sexual Offences Act, burglary, just being carte blanche illegal is wrong. You understand? People in the privacy of their homes, consenting adults can engage in acts of burglary.
mhm,
And also, for children, if you engage in an act of burglary for a child, a minor that is under the age of 16, you're going to jail for a maximum of 25 years. So it has not affected our social context.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you mentioned that it does not affect us. Um, if you are accustomed of doing what you're accustomed of doing, it really does not change anything. It just essentially does not send somebody to stock farm if they engage in consensual
If they
consent.
choose to have their lovers' business that way.
Right. And that is exactly what I got out of it. What sort of measures, and I'm not sure, because again, I did not follow the case as closely as I would have liked to. I knew it was going on, but what sort of measures, if any, um, are being taken to ensure the rights and dignity of LGBTQ plus individuals in terms of protection and respect, following that decriminalization? And I'll tell you why I asked this, because I am privy to multiple different people who identify as LGBTQ, and I'm very familiar with the community. I have supported the community here in Dominica for years, for over 10 years. And I've known of instances where they've been beat up, people have been beat up, they've been beat up by other people in society. um just not too long ago, somebody threw a big stone behind one, like there's so many different things that people do. Now knowing that this is, and because we do have ignorant people, we cannot get away from that. Now knowing that now this is decriminalized, it can set people off, people who are not properly informed about what they will think that if I'm a man and a man watches me now, they might be intimidated just by that, right? They might feel like you want to do something to me and get angry. I've actually known of an instance where somebody undead someone because of that, right? Just by mere looking. So what sort of measures are in place? Because it is important to know or to note that yes, this impacts heavily the community, but how are they going to be protected or even respected following this new amendment? Ooh, listen, we lost her. I don't know what happened. We're gonna she's gonna come back. We're gonna keep trying. Like this is how her phone is have given her issues, and this is how it works. All right, so let's hope that she comes back on. She pops back on. I just want to, say, how much I appreciate the folks who have been on here, those of you who've shared the live. I see Antonio Moise has a few questions. And hopefully, when she comes back on, we'll be able to go through the question. Thank you very much to Rena and Claudia Carlton for the stars. I really do appreciate you both. And thank you very much for sharing the stars on the show. But I really needed to have this conversation with Ms. Dalrymple. I really needed us to understand that this new amendment doesn't threaten anyone. This new amendment is not something that we should be afraid of. This new amendment does not affect you if you don't partake in Bulgari. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. It simply means that someone who previously who would have had consensual sex with the same sex, other known as, I don't really like that term, but if they partake in Bulgari consensually, that it wasn't criminalized, so they could not be arrested or go to jail unless it was not consensual. And that's really and truly what this amendment is. We've made it a lot more complicated by the comments and the opinions and that are not really valid or even necessary, and amplified it unnecessarily. Like we've made it a thing when it's not that huge of a deal. It's a big deal for the community that was impacted by its criminalization. But if you're not part of that community, drink your water and mind your business. That's essentially that's essentially what I understand. That's what I understand it to mean. I hope Miss Dalrymple can come back on. I was hoping that she would jump back on following the cutoff, um, and hopefully we can continue this conversation. Reina. Yes, Reina. Reina says it simply shows that Dominica is growing up. It's about time. So I'm not sure what happened, but I'm glad that she got to come. I had quite a few more questions um, to ask. There were a few things that been on my mind to ask as it relates to you know um, legal challenges, even controversy, I just read recently that on one of the newspapers, I believe it could have been the Sun, or I think it was the Sun, where folks were talking about the next steps, in terms of the legalization of same-sex marriages. These are some of the things that are being discussed, but that obviously does not impact or affect or have nothing to do with the new amendment. It's just, guys, like do your research and listen, pay attention, and note what is being said. And it's not like Miss Dalrymple spoke about. It's not a government thing. It's not, oh, it's the government. And I'm not trying to defend the government by any means. I believe that we've evolved, and we constantly evolve, and there are things that we have to do to remain aligned with what's going on in the rest of the world. And I believe it is it's their right. It's their human right to love whomever they choose. You would not have liked to live in a society where you were forced to marry somebody that you did not want to marry, right? Let's say of the opposite sex, right? You would not have wanted to live in that society. You would not appreciate that being done to you, right? So, in the same respect, you should understand that in instances where people feel that they need to be in love or love whomever they choose to, as long as it's adults, that we need to respect that. We need to respect that, and it doesn't affect your children. Like, we need to stop thinking, oh my God, what we need to, and I think she mentioned, something that the minister said today, that we need to start thinking about how we can eradicate, the high numbers of offenses that are made against minors, and these are not made by people of the same sex, right? Majority of the time, it's by people who we welcome into our homes, who are uncles and stepfathers and boyfriends and all of these different things, and we're not. We decide to sweep it under the carpet, and even in some instances we take hush money, and we do all of these different things, and that is what is most important. That is what we need to pay attention to. That is what we need to look forward to doing, is getting these people convicted, actually standing up for our children, and paying attention to the cues and the red flags that come with when people are sexually harassing, or trying to groom our children. These are the things that we need to pay attention to, right? And not just wave it off like it is nothing. That is what we need to pay attention to. And I want to go to the comments. Should The Muslim community should rally to legalize marrying their four wives in Dominica. Um, if That is DJ O'Brien. I don't believe there is. There are many countries that allow for multiple marriages. But I do know that polyamory is a thing. Again, people choosing as consenting adults to love more than one person, that have nothing to do with you. That absolutely has nothing to do with you. If it does not affect you, your life, your child, your household, your money, it has nothing to do with you. So even still, that to me is like, let people live their life, as long as they are not infringing on you as a human being. They're not affecting you as a human being. And when I say affecting, they're not causing you harm, right? And that is that is most important to me, right? Shema has joined us again. Shema,
My
we got
internet keeps dropping.
we got disconnected, and I continued. I kept the conversation
Yes.
going. But when you dropped off, I was actually speaking to the rights for and protection of the LGBTQ. Oof, it's an audio. We're not ready. The internet is livid. We're not ready. I don't know if we should try and have this conversation another time. I don't know if this is necessary. Um, I only I believe that this conversation was a necessary conversation to have. Um, and I'm glad that Shema allowed us the opportunity to speak. Because oftentimes we're unable to connect with the powers that be to really get the information, and she believes that this is public information and that a lot of folks have been misinformed, and we're going about saying all kinds of things frivolously. We just throwing things out there and without understanding the implications of what we're saying, or even understanding that this does not essentially affect you directly unless the act of buggery is something that you partake in. So now you know that you can have, because men and women do it. Men and women do it, right? Whether you want to admit it or not, you might say you don't do it in public, but in private, you're trying to get into the little window. We know. And again, that takes away from the act being criminalized. As long as it's consensual, then it has been decriminalized. So I think that's what's most important. I want to see what some folks are saying. So we have Antonio is making a comment that we need to keep having it till people learn to stay in their lanes and behave themselves. I guess that's in response to some conversation that's going on in the chat. Um, Guys, I really wish that this had gone differently. But I want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm not going to prolong this. I had many questions, many other questions. Probably I'll invite Ms. Dalrymple on another time and ensure that we do all our technical checks prior to her joining. And hopefully we can have another engaging discussion. I just want to thank all of you for tuning in. I really appreciate your time, those of you who tuned in, and I really hope that you guys learned something from the short space of time that we connected, um, minus all of the interruptions. Right, so thank you guys for joining. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try also and reach out to members of possibly Meridam, so probably Daryl Phillip, to see if he would be available to come on, and probably we could see how we can have a discussion about this. All right, guys. So I'm gonna drop off now because I don't want to prolong this any longer. What I want to say is that I want to let you guys in Dominica. So I want to encourage folks to be safe out there. Ensure that you're safe on the roads. You're not drinking and driving, and you have a really safe long weekend. It is a long weekend, so just be safe out there. Don't drink and drive, and if you're driving, try not to drink. Right, and I will be back next week, hopefully. So stay tuned. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.